Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about Reign of Guilds. This came onto my radar just recently. About 2 days ago, I saw it on the Steam list of upcoming games. And I thought, okay, it's Q1 of 2024. I'll put it on my wish list and hope that I have time to play it when it becomes available. And then after I researched it a little more, because I was still intrigued about its concept, I found out that it was supposed to release like last week, but Steam had not released the green light for the company to release the keys or to release it into the store. So just yesterday, the developer was able to say that, yes, we got the green light. We're going to generate some keys, or we'll be able to generate keys now and be able to sell the game. I don't know how much the game is going to be. I think one of the topics I read, it was going to be like $40. One topic I read said it was going to be subscription based. And I was like, I ain't going to get into a subscription based game, not in 2024. You know what I mean? I mean, that is so old school way of marketing that you don't see that. Usually it's you buy to play now. You don't see many subscription games. Well, come to find out that the developer decided that they weren't going to go the subscription rate away, and they were just going to go to selling the game. You buy it, you play it. So that's good to know. Now, the graphics remind me of Riven World. If you ever watched any of my Riven World, a lot of the assets that you see in this Reign of Guilds are the exact same assets that we saw in Riven World. Almost like they bought their same assets from the store there, the Unreal Engine store. I mean, that's the only way I can think of it, because you see some of the same stuff, and I know that the development team over at Riven World is not working with this team, so they're sharing some assets here, obviously. But I mean, it looks like it's going to be pretty fun. The concept of it is there's not a lot of tree cutting or having to mine things. They eliminated that from the game. I guess there's areas of resources that you just go to, pick the resources up, like say it's wood or whatever it is, and you bring those resources back to a town. And then that town has NPCs that will process it into whatever you ask them to process it into. And then from there, you can do other things with it. So there's crafting in the game, but they tried to streamline it to the point where, you're not spending your time, getting resources, in the way you would think in games like this, like cutting trees, manually having to pickaxe. You don't have to do that in this game. And here's the interface that when you see it on the screen here, this is the interface about moving items out of your inventory into the processor NPCs. The Skull and Bones kind of use the same kind of technique where you brought items to an NPC, the NPC did what you needed done with it, the processing, and it returned to you whatever the outcome was. Now, what I like about the concept of this game is the guild mechanics. I mean, it's called Reign of Guilds. So you'll have to work with your guild to achieve dominance in this game. Now, it's a full PvP loot drop game. Now, if your karma is fine and you're not a doughhead and bringing it down in some way, when you die, you're only going to drop the resources, the raw resources in which you had on your character. You won't drop your gear. You won't drop your weapons. And I guess I won't say you won't. There's not a 100% guarantee that you won't. There might be an occasion that something would drop. And I know in the game itself, they have designed a way that you'll have these lock slots where on your gear, where if there's something really valuable you never want to drop, you can put them in that lock slot and it will never drop regardless of what happens. But they limit you on those lock slots. So you have to choose which items you don't want to definitely drop. Now, if your karma is bad, meaning that, let's say you're going around and PKing everybody, you're just outright just PKing people. What's going to happen is when your karma drops below a certain level, then you will drop stuff when you die. So what happens is if you bring your karma down too low and somebody kills you, you might lose all your stuff. In that situation, when your karma is low, you will drop your gear. You will drop more than just the raw resources. I don't believe you'll drop the items that you have in your protected slots, but you might just drop everything. So that was one of the things that I liked about it, is it wasn't a full loot drop. You're just gonna, if you're playing nice, you're just going to be dropping the resources that you're moving around. The graphics remind me of Riven World. The graphics are, they look like Unreal Engine graphics. Now, I have joined a guild to play this game because there was no way I was going to try to play this game by myself, because it makes no sense to play it by yourself, because it seems like a cooperative guild game where you work strategies. Now, the goal is to take over these castles, and once you take over the castles, you control the tax rate. And it reminds me again of Riven World and how they did their concept, like Reign of Kings did. They, you basically secure the castle. You can lay siege to it, secure it. Your guild owns it, and then somebody else could lay siege to it to take it back, and you can control the taxes and whatnot. The game has magic, and they have a unique way of how you build your character. It's a lot, from what I understanding, it's a gear heavy, meaning that the gear that you use in the game is what kind of determines what you can do in the game, and your basic skills that you start with, like your class skills, kind of get, I guess when you choose a class or you decide what class you're going to be, those skills are very beneficial to you early on, what you get stocked from that. But what happens is your gear oversees those skills to be more beneficial to you end game. Meaning that you might want to pick a class where its base skills are usable at end game and not just usable early game. And that was some advice somebody gave me, that you got to kind of look at what your skills are, and if they're going to be fruitful for you when it comes closer to end game, because they might not be. They might, your gear basically is going to determine how you play. And as I was saying is, you can make sure you don't drop your stuff when you die if your karma is high enough. Now there's it's got PvE in the game. There's monsters and bosses to kill, I believe I was told, and it just looks overall fun. It seems like it is smoother than Riven World was. I mean, when I look at these videos on Steam, everything seems there's not clipping, and it seems cleaner. The other thing I wanted to point out is that they're kind of comparing this game to New World and Lost Ark. And I get that kind of feel. I played both those games. You can actually, I'm in the way of that screen. You can't see it because I'm there in the corner. But at the bottom of my screen, it says this game is relevant to you because you play New World and Lost Ark. So definitely, if you think you want to play this game, I will be doing some video on it. So if you're on the fence about, how what you want to do with your money and what video games you want to pay for, I'll be doing some future videos on this game itself, and maybe you'll come join us. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. And this has been the Tarkus Zone.